Hello everyone, this is me again, joyfjrd, and for today's video, we'll be discussing one of the possible programs you might want to consider if you want to migrate here to Canada. This is called the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program. This program intends to help employers from Canada to hire foreign nationals and fill in their job openings locally. What are the Atlantic provinces? Atlantic province includes New Brunswick, Newfoundland and Labrador, Nova Scotia, and of course the Prince Edward Island. One thing I'd recommend you to do before even considering AIPP or Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program is to check out on these provinces just to make sure that this suits your requirements. Do note that these are provinces, hence way of life is very slow-paced, and at the same time there might be some inconveniences when it comes to mode of transportation, shopping, and also when you want to travel, you have to go on domestic flights before you go on international flights. There are 3 programs that are supported by the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program. First, we have the Atlantic International Graduate Program. We also have Atlantic High Skill Program and Atlantic Intermediate Skill Program. For all this, there are almost the same requirements, I would say. We have the language, education, work experience, job offer, and the settlement fund. I created here simple chart or a simple table to show you the different requirements for each of the 3 categories. For the language, you can notice that it is only CLB4. Among all the different programs for the immigration of Canada, this is probably one of the easiest one. It's because it doesn't require you to have CLB7. Just make sure that your English proficiency exam must be within the last 2 years. Also, if you're getting IELTS or CELPIP for English test, make sure that you're gonna get general. Don't go for academic. If you're gonna go for TCF and TEF for French, make sure you go for the Canada Program 1. Don't go for the Quebec one. For the education, International Graduate Program, you have to have a degree, diploma, or other credentials from a publicly funded institution in the Atlantic province. For the education of the Atlantic High Skilled Program, you have to have at least a Canadian high school diploma or equivalent education. So make sure that you will send your credentials to WES. Same goes true with the Atlantic Intermediate Skilled Program. You have to have at least a Canadian high school diploma or equivalent education. For the work experience, no work experience is required for the International Graduate Program. But for the high skilled and intermediate skilled, you have to have at least 1 year of experience. So for the high skilled, it should have been in management, professional, or technical skill job. If you're under the intermediate skill program, of course, you have to have 1 year experience. That requires the high school education or job-specific training. For the job offer, Atlantic International Graduate and Intermediate Skill Program are almost the same when it comes to the NOC level. It has to be under NOC level 0, A, B, and C. But for the Atlantic High Skilled, since it is high skilled, you have to go for NOC level 0, A, and B only. Now, for the time frame, for the Atlantic International Graduate Program, it has to be at least 1 year job offer. Same goes true with the High Skill Program. It has to be at least 1 year job offer. But for the intermediate skill, it has to be permanent. It means that there shouldn't be any end date on your contract. Further to those requirements, also do note that there are general requirements for the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program. The job offer must be made on a specific job offer form, which is called the Offer of Employment to a Foreign National. Another requirement, the employer has to be a designated employer. Each of the 4 provinces that I have mentioned earlier has their own websites, and on their websites, they will tell you what are the designated employers. Third one will be the job must be full-time. Full-time means you have to work at least 30 hours per week. And then the job must be non-seasonal, which means that you have to have a full-time, regular, paid job throughout the year. Okay? For the funds, this is another advantage of going for the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program. Unlike other programs that requires you to have very high proof of funds, this program only requires slightly lower. Primarily because number 1, this is a province. Cost of living might not be as expensive. That's number 1. Number 2, you have a job offer anyway. You have source of funds to spend while you're here in Canada. So this is just primarily for the first few adjustment periods while you're still settling down, just to make sure that you have some money to spend. I hope this video has been helpful. Besides this 5, always make sure that you have to be mentally prepared, and also make sure that most of your stuffs are prepared, like your passport, your birth certificates, marriage certificates, CENUMAR, what else? All those very basic requirements, just have them handy so that if you have an employer ready, it will be a very fast one. Now, for the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program, this is one of the fastest. You'll be able to get your PR in just a matter of 6 months. So be sure to be prepared and go for it. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on my next vlog.